Today I'm going to do another budget versus premium earbuds review. And today I'm going to talk about one of my favorites and what I'm currently using as my day-to-day earbuds, the Soundcore A40. And on the right, for the premium earbuds today, I'm going to be talking about the Google Pixel Buds Pro 2. So just to give a cost comparison, these Soundcore A40 they're always on sale for around 80 to $84 Australian, although I think the listed retail price is about $130, but they're basically always available for about 80 to $85 Australian on sale. These Pixel Buds 2 Pros, I believe the retail price in Australia is about $350 AUD. So that's almost 3 times the retail price of these Soundcore A40s. Although at the moment they're also on sale. I think they have an end of financial year sale. So I bought these for $225 Australian, which is still quite a lot of money. So 225 versus 80, $85, they're still about 3 times as much as these, even on the best sale that I've seen for them at the moment so far. So given the price, I just wanted to do a comparison to see if basically if I'm missing out on anything by using these for my day-to-day, music listening and ANC and going to the gym and watching Netflix and all that sort of stuff. So the typical stuff that I listen to earbuds for. So let's take a quick look at these first. So firstly, I guess the case is quite nice. It's pretty much exactly the same as the older generation Pixel Buds Pro. So this is the first generation Pixel Buds. This is the Pixel Buds Pro 2. As you can see, the case I think is 100% identical. The only difference I can tell is that the Pixel Buds Pro 2 have this extra little hole at the bottom. I'm not exactly sure what that's for. Yeah, I'm not sure. If you know, maybe add something in the comments. The only other difference I can tell is that the Pixel Buds Pro 2 case seems to be a little bit more matte, whereas the Pixel Buds Pro first generation seems to be a little bit more shimmery. It's a very subtle difference, and I'm actually not 100% sure. Maybe it's just because I've had these for about a year, so maybe they've just, due to additional wear, they've become a little bit more shiny. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's the only difference I can tell. As for the actual earbuds themselves, let's take a quick look at the Pixel Buds Pro 2. They're actually quite nice. They're much smaller than I thought they would be. So they're very tiny, and they're an interesting shape, right? I mean, if I compare them to the first generation Pixel Buds Pro, these are humongous in comparison. It's pretty hard to tell exactly on the video, but obviously these are like much more slimmer and narrower all around. The top bit as well, you can also tell like the like outer circle on this one has a smaller diameter than this one, and the ergonomics are generally much better as well. Like the first generation Pixel Buds Pro, I never quite liked these. I think I wore them daily for about 6 months, but I was never quite happy with the way that they fit in your ear just because of their size. I think somebody on Reddit said it best. It's kind of like trying to stuff a big olive in your ear when you're wearing it. Whereas these ones, because they're much smaller, at least for me, they seem to fit me quite well. So size-wise, these are very nice, the new Pixel Buds Pro 2. Let's quickly compare them to the Soundcore A40, since I'm comparing budget versus premium here. They are smaller, maybe a little bit smaller. Yeah, they are smaller than the Soundcore A40 as well. Again, it's hard to tell because the shapes are different on these things. So they're smaller in some dimensions, although the overall height and shape is pretty similar. What I will say is that I've made a lot of videos about the Soundcore A40. I've compared them to like the Bose Quiet Comfort, the Sony XM5 earbuds, and I think some others as well. And for me, these have always came out on top, even ignoring price, but mostly just because they seem to fit my ears quite well, and they form a good seal in my ear. The seal doesn't break even after like hours of sitting around or even going to the gym. So for me personally, the Soundcore A40s tend to work quite well. The Pixel Buds Pro 2 also fit in my ears quite well. I can't really tell the difference in terms of comfort. I still prefer these ones a little bit, but maybe that's just because I'm used to them more, whereas I've only been using these ones for about 5 days. So maybe if I give it more time, I would prefer these ones. One thing I do find a little bit odd about the Pixel Buds 2 is they have a quite an unusual shape. So most earbuds have this kind of like standard generic shape, kind of like that, where you just put it in your ear and you twist it around a bit to form a good seal and it stays in. This one is kind of like a reverse upside down shape. So this is the left earbud. So let's make sure I'm comparing. Well, this is the left earbud here. This is the right earbud. So let me take the right earbud for the Pixel Pro 2. So this is the Soundcore A40 on the right earbud. This is the Pixel Bud 2 on the right earbud, right? So Soundcore A40, you just put it in. It's a standard earbud. You put it in, twist it around a little bit. It forms a good seal. The Pixel Bud Pro 2, because of its weird shape, it's almost like an inverse. So when you twist it around, it turns around, and this thing is kind of like pointing upwards. It's just a bit unusual. I found it unusual compared to other earbuds, but it works and it stays in there. It seems to form a good seal. Not as good as the A40 for my ears. So I think the passive noise isolation on these is probably not as good as these. The Pixel Bud Pro 2s also seem to have like an air vent. I think that vent is so that it prevents pressure buildup when you have ANC turned on. Whereas these A40s, I'm not sure if they have that or not. So I think the A40s have a better passive noise isolation performance. Maybe I guess with that we can talk about active noise cancellation as well. How do they compare against each other, and how do they perform against each other? In short, I can't tell the difference. Again, which is a common thing that I've said in many of my videos. So I've tried these last night for close to 2 hours, like just switching between the A40s and the Pixel Buds Pro 2 back and forward, just having ANC on with nothing else, with no music playing. And I have quite a loud white noise machine that was on at the time in the house. I use that sometimes for various other reasons we won't get into, but basically they're both able to cancel almost 100% of that active noise of that white noise generating machine that I have. So they do almost as well with each other. I would say that one weird thing about the Pixel Bud Pro 2s is I find that they generate a little bit more white noise themselves, which I found a little bit weird. I'm not 100% if maybe I have a defective unit or not. I have done a firmware update on this as well, so they're on the latest firmware as of the making of this video, so like June 2025. But even if there's like no noise in the environment and I turn ANC on, these things, like you can hear the white noise that they generate themselves louder than this. And I think it's probably louder than most other earbuds as well. Like I don't remember experiencing this on the Bose Quiet Comfort or on the Sony XM5s. So just something to be aware of. Even with ANC off, when you have these in your ears and there's nothing playing on your phone, I can still hear some white noise being generated by these. So I'm not sure exactly what that's about. I think I read an article on like a Google blog post, and they say that, all electronics generate white noise to some levels when they're turned on, and it's within the general specs and all that sort of stuff. So maybe it's expected. I don't know if my ears are particularly sensitive to those types of frequencies, but I found it slightly odd. But otherwise, in terms of ANC performance, again, I couldn't really tell any noticeable differences between these two. So would I pay 3 times as much for this instead of this? Definitely not, because I think even if there is any difference that I can't tell that there is, but maybe my ears are not good enough, or maybe the environments I tested them out with. I did test them in other places, so not just sitting on the sofa at home, like at work and walking around and in transit and in the gym. But again, I couldn't tell the difference, even just switching between the back and forward and trying to listen for anything particular. Now, in terms of like actual music quality, this is also what I spent a lot of time last night to try and see if I could see if these produce a better sound, whatever better means, and there's probably like technical ways to measure the sound reproduction quality and how closely it matches like reference curves and all that sort of stuff. But it's also just about like, do I enjoy listening to these more than I enjoy listening to these? So I spent about 2 hours yesterday with a whole bunch of different, music songs that I played on YouTube Music and on other streaming services. I played some songs that I commonly listen to on a day-to-day basis when I'm trying to do focused work, and just switch back and forward, back and forward, back and forward about 10 times between these, and just like rewinding the song each time. I also listened to a bunch of songs that I have on my own personal media library, songs that I've listened to for 20 years now that I'm very familiar with. And I've also tried to listen to just like various things like YouTube videos and YouTube shorts to see if I can notice any specific difference there either. There is a difference in the sound that they generate, but I struggled really, really hard to decide which one is better, or if one is better over the other. After 2 hours, I couldn't really make up my mind. Like, I couldn't say that I enjoy this one better because I'm noticing additional details that I'm not noticing in this one. That was never really the case. I am noticing some differences. Like, I think the Soundcore A40s are a little bit more bassy. So I think you can hear the bass a little bit more than these ones. But then you also get into EQ profiles and things like that. And if you start playing around and comparing different EQs, like, you can make either of these two sound pretty similar to each other. I do think maybe these ones might have a beautiful wider soundstage, maybe. But again, it was really hard to tell. So even after just listening to the same songs in the same media for like 2 hours and switching back and forward on my phone about like 20 times or more between these two, at the end of it, like, I wouldn't say that I'll pick this one over this one because I'm having a better experience with this one. And I think if there was a way for me to do this in a double blind test, which there isn't because I'm the one that's switching back and forward, but if there was, I'm not even sure if I'd be able to pick this one as the better earbud or not. So then once you put price into it as well, like, would I pay 3 times more to buy these ones? No, because they don't perform any better for ANC. They don't really perform any better, at least to my ears, for general music and YouTube watching and Netflix and that sort of stuff. So what am I paying 3 times extra for? Like, ergonomically, are they better than these ones? For me, no. Again, just because these ones happen to fit my ears really well, and maybe that's just weirdly my ears. Like, it's a very personal thing, right? But they're not ergonomically any better. The case is not like that much different anyway. They're kind of like a similar Well, this one is a little bit bigger. Volume-wise, the A40 case is a little bit bigger than the Pixel Buds, but overall, the Soundcore A40 still has a pretty reasonably sized and good quality case as well. I've commented a lot about cases for some of the other videos I've made against the Bose and the Sony earbuds, but I'm pretty happy with the quality of the case on the A40s too. I've had this in my pocket with car keys for probably over 6 months now, and there's not a single scratch on it, and there's nothing loose, there's nothing wobbly. It's very sturdy, so I've been very happy with the case. So yeah, overall, I'll continue to use the Soundcore A40s. I'm gonna return the Pixel Buds 2 Pro just because I'm not getting any additional value out of it. They don't do anything for me. And I think one of the main messages I just wanted to continuously reiterate in all the videos I've been making recently is that spending more on earbuds specifically, I think this also generalizes to headphones, although I don't review headphones as much as I do earbuds. I prefer wearing earbuds, so I've tried out a lot more earbuds. But just spending more on earbuds doesn't mean that you're getting anything better. I know it can be a pretty controversial opinion sometimes, but just in the last 5 or 6 days, the Sound Guys website have actually also published a few articles where they've found pretty much the same thing. So let me share this tab first and try to close off all these ads that they have playing on the sides. So this article, they've measured the ANC performance of over 205 different headphones and earbuds, right? And they actually have like proper measurement gear. Like they have this mannequin dummy type thing that you can put headphones over, and you can also put earbuds in its fake ears. And it's got a bunch of microphones on the inside, so they can measure the exact, reduction in noises at different frequencies and all that sort of stuff. And anyways, I think that the concluding remarks were that there is almost no correlation whatsoever between the price that you pay for earbuds or headphones and the amount of actual sound that they cancel out. So this line here goes up very slowly as price increases. So basically, if you spend like that would be $100, that would be about $50. So if you spend about $50 here, right, you get all the noise cancellation that you see in these various samples here, which is about between 75 and 80% sound reduction if you spend $50, right? Or you can go and spend, let's say, $300 here, and you get pretty much kind of the same cluster of noise isolation, right? So there is maybe this one that you can argue, this one is slightly higher than the best $60, $70 earbuds that you can get at $300, but that's probably only 2% more noise attenuation that they do. So there's basically no correlation. They've also measured the performance of sound quality, so how well these earbuds and headphones can actually reproduce specific frequencies relative to like reference curves and all that sort of stuff. And they found basically the same thing as well. Like as you pay more, there's almost no correlation at all between the price that you pay and the quality that you're getting. So I just want people to be aware of this, right? Like, don't think that you need to spend more because you're missing out because you're buying some budget stuff or whatever, or like don't think that you have to get the latest Samsung, whatever Samsung. What do they call them now? It's slipping my mind. But the Samsung 3 Pro earbuds, or the latest Apple earbuds, or Sony earbuds, or even the Pixel earbuds or the Bose earbuds. They kind of all do exactly the same thing these days. I think we've reached a level of technology where I haven't yet looked into the bill of materials for these various things, but I'm willing to guess that they kind of buy the same microphones and the same drivers probably from like the same 2 or 3 suppliers that exist out there, right? So I'm guessing it's just kind of like repackaging the same technology in all these different earbuds. The rest is just really in packaging. So by packaging, it's like, the style of the case and the style of the earbuds. I think the most important thing is how well an earbud fits your ear. And again, I don't think that is correlated with price either. You just have to try things out and find one that you find comfortable in your ear. That makes a good seal and um, stays stays planted in your ear as you move around and do exercise and that sort of stuff. So anyways, I think I'll probably end it with that. Looks like I'll be keeping the Soundcore A40s for a little while longer until something else comes out that I kind of maybe somehow enjoy better, or can actually tell that there's a difference, or maybe we've just kind of reached the end of diminishing returns here. I mean, the quality of miniaturization of these, mini speaker drivers and microphones has gotten as good as most human ears can tell. And you can get the same performance in something very cheap, or you get the same performance in something very expensive, right? It's like I've said in different videos, it's not like 30 years ago where, if you were trying like $2 earphones that came packaged with your cheap Nokia phone, obviously those sounded terrible, right? And these are not $2; they're still like $85, right? So for $85, what I'm saying is that you're getting something that's kind of as good as you can get these days. Different earbuds might sound slightly different in different ways. You might enjoy one sound slightly differently. Like if you like more bass, maybe you like this one better. If you like more like treble or mids or something else, maybe you like these ones better. But I think once you play with the EQs, there's so many different EQ settings that you can set on these or these. You can basically just make them sound however you want them to sound and whatever you prefer. And I kind of, don't fall for the hype bubbles, because if you go on specific, forums, especially on Reddit and other places, like if you go on the Sony XM5 forums, they'll tell you that the Sony XM5s are the best ANC that they've ever heard, and they've compared them side by side, and it just blew them away when they put them in their ears, and like the whole world kind of became silent, and the music transported them to a different dimension. And if you go on the Samsung Reddit posts, you read exactly the same thing. If you go on the Apple threads, you read exactly the same thing as well. Those are either like sponsored posts or bots, or just people that fall into the into the echo chamber reinforcement bubbles, and kind of convince yourself that whatever you bought is the best thing, and then you say the same thing as well, to kind of convince others and kind of like justify your own purchase. Anyways, I'm rambling too much. I think we've gone beyond the point of this video right now. Soundcore A40s, thumbs up. Google Pixel Buds Pro 2, also thumbs up. Price-wise, are these worth 3 times as much as the A40s? Nope. I'll be keeping the A40s. I'll be returning the Pixel Buds Pro 2, just because I don't see the value in them.